Okay, 8.8b is in Bravo. We're continuing on with conic sections, and we're paying specific attention to ellipses and hyperbolas, and we're going to finish up with the ellipses here with example 2. And what we've got here is we've got an equation here, and they want us to put it in standard form because that's the way you graph these things, because they're awful hard to graph when we have them in this form. Now, yeah, you can still graph them using your X and your Y and plugging numbers in, but holy smokes, that looks like that would be kind of a mess to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the form that is X minus H, the quantity squared, over A squared, plus Y minus K, quantity squared over B squared, and that, let me move this a little bit, that equals 1. Okay, so we're going to put it in this form right here. So how do we do that? Well, first step in order to do that is to get our X's and our Y's together. So we're just moving things around, and we're going to put that 1 on the other side since it doesn't have anything with it. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to look at this, and we're going to see if there's anything we can factor out. And we're going to look at the second part to see if there's anything we can factor out there. And there's not. Sorry for that little abrupt pause there. I was sitting out on the sun deck, and my wife started the generator, which is right under the sun deck, so I had to kind of move my places so you could still hear me. That's the joy of living on an island, I guess, and being remote, is having a generator. Okay, so there we go with that. We can't do anything, can't factor out anything here, no numbers anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this, and we are going to complete the square. And we're going to look at this and complete the square. Okay? So the reason that we're completing the square is we have to get it in this format, X minus H, the quantity squared. In order to get that way, we have to get this in a format that we can do that. All right, so let's get moving here. We're going to leave the 4 alone. Anything outside the parentheses, we're just going to kind of leave alone. So we've got that. Half of 4 is 2, and we square it. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with this here. And we've got y squared minus 2y. Half of 2 is 1, square it. Okay, yep, there goes the generator. Even louder. Hopefully it's not going to be too distracting right now. Okay, so one of the things that we've gone over, and that is whenever you do something to one side, you have to do it to the other. So remember, completing the square, if we add 4 here, we have to add 4 here. And we added 1, so we have to add 1. Okay, now this takes you way back in math. But I didn't just add a 4, did I? I added the 4 times this 4, because see, this 4 is being multiplied by everything in here. Because at one time it was 4x squared plus 16. So when I had it in this form, it's 4x squared plus 4 times 4 is 16. I simplified it. I didn't change it. I just changed what it looks like. So that 4 then is still multiplied by everything in here. So rather than just add 4 to this whole side, I added 4 times 4. So I'm going to have to add 16 to this side. Now over here, I don't have a number in front of here times 1, so I'm just adding the 1. And actually, because I'm doing that and that cancel each other out, and I've just got a 16 there. Okay, so in order to write that, I've got square root of the first term, square root of the second term squared. This sign goes right there. Do the same thing over here. Square root of the first term, square root of the second term squared. This sign goes right there. Okay, very, very easy, kind of mindless work there. If you just remember how to do it, goes pretty quick and easy. All right, so the next step here, like I said in the first example, is this has to be a 1. In order for it to be a 1, in fact, let me move this over. See, this is what it's supposed to look like. We've got a 1 there, so I'm going to divide both sides by 1. Everything, or by 16. Okay, so once I do that, 4 over 16 is 1/4. So I have x plus 2, quantity squared, over 4, plus y minus 1, quantity squared, over 16, equals 1. So see how easy it is to put it in this form. Not really too bad. All right, so what does that tell me? It tells me a whole gob of stuff here. So let me get all this out of here except for my answer. And it wants me to just write it and then graph it. So let's go ahead and get ourselves our graph back on here and be able to graph this. And we've got a lot of information here. For one thing, we know that it's not at the origin because we have a plus 2 and a minus 1 here. So what I found is my center is going to be whatever makes my x 0 and whatever makes this 0 and whatever makes this 0. So that's my center, -2, 1. Okay? So we've got a little bit of a shift there. I also know that because my y is the bigger number, it's going to be a vertical graph. And my y is going to be 4, not from the origin, but from the center. So I'm going to go from the center, that's always my frame of reference here, is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So my center point, or my vertex, is going to be up there. And it's also going to be 4 below, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then my minor is going to be 2 and 2. Okay, so I have enough information there to kind of get a sketchy curve. I mean, I'm not going to go and find all the points in between, but kind of looks like that. I mean, your ellipses don't have to look any better than mine, which means you're not going to have any problem drawing these. So that's what we're doing there as far as ellipses. That's as far as the book is going with ellipses. So let's go ahead and start with hyperbolas. And again, they're not really going into a ton of stuff on hyperbolas. And we'll just kind of go from there. So I'm going to start a new video. So we're starting fresh with hyperbolas.